My name is Peter Anthony. I nearly died in the late 1980s. Blue, red ambulance lights still flash in my mind. I recall paramedics peering down at me when I arrived. Stress was evident on their faces. They expressed urgency and timing. Our admissions room experience sucked. The AIDS crisis peaked during my time. I worked in the news division and lost weight, coughed, and got brown spots on my face all summer. The hospital denied me admission because it wasn't that moment in my life. My friend, who brought me there with the paramedics, insisted I get treated and that I worked for the news department, which helped. I was gurneyed by an intern dressed as an active patient after the admitting clerk checked me in. Although I was bleeding, I had no idea I had Crohn's, TB, or diverticulitis. When I arrived in the ER in tremendous pain, I looked up and grabbed the intern. I had the worst stomachache. I tried to talk to him about his worries. I could only see his eyes and sweat on his brow as he left me in a corner. After I was shoved by the garage, Nurse Susan arrived from the exit area slowly. She rescued me again that night. My facial blemishes, blood on the gurney, and coughing were visible. She thought I had AIDS because of the late 1980s AIDS epidemic. After I persuaded her, this nurse reluctantly took me to the ER. I entered room 11's blindfolded cubicle. She coughed and shoved me in with her bloodied garments. She spoke with doctors, nurses, and anesthesiologists. She tugs at my clothes and says, "You know, I'm going to take these clothes off." She removes a few and returns to where she was after a heated conversation with a doctor, opening the curtain and saying, "We're nurses, we're doctors, we need to take care of this patient." She cleaned, mopped, and undressed. This is essential since no one knew how AIDS spread during the pandemic. They claimed I was exposing individuals to AIDS, which was killing them in the ER. It was unclear if it was airborne or bloodborne. She retrieved the gurney and turned me over after cleaning me. I am in and out of consciousness throughout. I saw doctors, nurses, and anesthesiologists busy when we entered the operation room. Their faces betrayed severe panic. At that time, I understood a terrible tragedy was coming. I experienced terrible stomachache and copious blood. Anesthesiologists tossed me onto my side on the operating table, warning, "This is going to hurt," and I passed out. Peter Anthony, my spirit or ethereal form, peered down at Peter Anthony on the surgery table while the medical crew went through protocol. Everything appeared three-dimensional. Name badges, masks, cart table, clock, and everything else were visible. Looking down at my body, I felt something tugging at my solar plexus. I saw a swirling tunnel as I looked down at Peter in his body. Call it the target. My body and spirit have merged, and I am drawn into the tunnel ahead. This tunnel had people from this lifetime. I visited my sister, neighbors, and deceased third-grade teacher. There was no illogic in "Who are you? What are you doing here? I thought you died." Instead, I sensed surrender and acceptance. I calmly accepted it since it felt normal. I saw these math codes when I entered this tunnel. Numerologists face various quantum physics challenges nowadays. I see angel codes in 222, 333, 444, and 999 colors and noises. Color, tone, math frequency, and code downloading and comprehension are my weaknesses. I felt psychically connected to the world. I felt like I had taken a crash course in world history, Einstein, Darwin, your teachers, and my Catholic school pastor. I felt like a ton of collective information from 0 to 60 was being downloaded into me. I accepted in this tube. With the colors and mathematical figures spinning around me, I downloaded consciousness and realized that our entire lives, from conception to death, are recorded. Every breath, each second counts. Our actions matter. Through this tunnel, I discovered there's no judgment. There is no Muslim, Christian, straight, gay, or white person. Only when spinning through this tunnel can you feel spirit. Soul energy includes love, kindness, and compassion. My calm is becoming more essential to me. You just accept and understand rather than ask, "Why am I here in this tunnel?" I remember ending up behind a tree. I learned this tree is called the Tree of Life when I spoke about near-death experiences in Los Angeles in 2011. Despite not knowing what the Tree of Life was, I had my life reviewed while sitting on this Game of Thrones-like tree. recalling that my birthday, first year, walking lessons, school days, and park fun were depicted as matrices from birth to 60. Another glance at this matrix shows that you are continually downloading and suffering unpleasant things. Peter looked at young Peter and said, "You could have done better." These life reviews are like Coca-Cola or Diet Coke commercials. A slice of life where you watch your life unfold and take in the sights. Do not remember voting or caring. I can still see throwing a gum wrapper out the window into the river and watching it get whisked away by the current and mixed with other trash, fast food bags, needles, and other waste as it made its way down to the lakes and ocean. I recognized how my action affects everyone. The Matrix records everything we do on Earth, even when we think no one is watching. You understand. The instances I wasn't proud of or ashamed of were in my life evaluation. In each moment, and there are many, I thought, "You could have done better, Peter." We could talk about life review for hours. You're looking down at Peter. I felt like I was cleansing human error that had no function in my conscious or subconscious thoughts. I don't remember having to forgive myself, but it felt like it was telling me, "You know what, Peter? This is what you did. You own it. You accept it. Don't do it again." I listened to my thoughts like I was wearing headsets, and the only sound I could hear was the one in front of me. Not sure if it was an angel or Jesus. The enlightened entity was more sophisticated than anything I had seen on Earth. I remember the amazing brightness from this bodily presence, and I didn't dispute his identity despite his human body. I could see this person evaluating my life, but not myself. Amazing, and you're seeing it. I felt little. A thought-provoking meeting. It woke me. After leaving this life review and the tree, I saw a galaxy of stars and shards. It was only gold, but it seemed like peering into the sun. I realized that everything is connected, including the grass, beach, sky, mountains, and rivers, and that we are all trees, rock, dogs, cats, and dolphins. Reached my consciousness via download. Carbon is all we are. Death brings us back to Earth. I understood lifespans beyond lifetimes. Karma doesn't punish you for your past actions when you return. Absolutely not. Not what you did before. Continue till you're done when you return. Karma repeats itself until the lesson is learned, seems to apply to me. I see nations, conflict, avaricious people doing badly, and politicians around the world making decisions that hurt humanity, whether through war or forest devastation. I worried that decision makers were motivated by money. Over the years, people have said, "Oh, you're talking about spiritual. What is it? Spiritual identity, spiritual politics." But that wasn't the purpose. All of this was irrelevant when I wrote this 1990s book. Many of us who have had near-death experiences know that as we examine our lives, the only thing that matters is where did we shine. It just did not sit into this thing called love and compassion. Did you help? You helped whom? Have you donated here? Was this old lady who kept falling in the park helped? Worried about someone? Did you avoid when necessary? You stayed silent. I understood shoulda, could have, and would have. What should I do next? Could I have done better? Could I have done better? The present matters. The moment is vital. I try to be kind. A lot of people still doubt near-death experiences. Many have criticized me for publicizing my almost experience. This thrilled me greatly. When I returned, I enthusiastically told the physicians and nurses what happened. Right instantly, I realized no one wanted to hear this. As I look at our world and myself, I realized that pharmaceutical companies were making therapies that increased their profits but produced 3 new ailments. I prioritized realism. War scars are ricocheting through my awareness as I witness its harm and look down at each country and what we endured around the world, witnessing men march off to combat and families suffer. Seeing all this, I noticed the planet's pollution. I could see our future in beaches. I could write books, travel, and openly discuss my near-death experience. During this, the voice asked, "Do you want to go back?" I said, "Yes." I hit my body then, unable to explain. Instead of returning to the tube or operation room, I felt like I was launching from the stars and planets. I felt like a vacuum cleaner was sucking my spirit into my body as everything happened so swiftly. My body hurts from hits. I had anal and abdominal pain after the operation. I closed my eyes and smelled drugs. It was said, My doctor said I was out for 3.5 weeks. I died at 11:11 p.m., or 1 minute and 11 seconds, after working at cubicle 11. After surgery, these 11s were difficult. Numerology inspired me. I probably woke up at 3.5 weeks. I saw doctors, nurses, God, numbers, and the plan when I opened my eyes. You doing what? Unable to stop talking. I was considered insane by physicians and nurses. They looked at me like a freak show. A nurse listened without judging. They told me what they thought. I recall one nurse saying, "Oh my God, this guy's a nutcase." Patients stopped going to the hospital, and doctors didn't listen to me. I recall obtaining these drugs. Prednisone, morphine, and others have strange side effects. I went blind and couldn't walk. I weighed 85 pounds. I got facial staph infection. My life was terrible then. I learned from my worst experience, making it my greatest. I got life in return. I knew my destination and purpose. Great ending. Even though I was fighting skepticism, that was hard. I've heard nothing from the family. My friends and tiny family stopped visiting. The worst part was that everyone thought I had AIDS when I was 85 pounds with brown facial sores in the late 1980s and early 1990s. Thus, nobody spoke to me. During hard times, spiritual people go within. I did, developing reading habits. I returned to a bad newsroom. I couldn't discuss it. As I had my hair cut, a woman said, "You died, didn't you? And you came back." I think she felt I was a miracle. She listened as I told my experience. She died on the table after cosmetic surgery. I told her about my operation and clinical death. We looked like two wandering spirits who met around the world. That became my hope. Reading and studying make me a student. Did research. I started doing free readings at work. I performed readings, lived a double life, and was approached. Monday, Friday is my workday. I started charging because Saturday and Sunday readings were too time-consuming. I used to charge $25/day. Though they left, they returned. Suddenly, I'm a ghost hunter traveling the world and handed a series using numerology to investigate paranormal cases. This period of my life is remembered. Predestined seems to be my fate. I appear to have strayed. My specialty is spiritual numerology, not astrology or numerology, and I am proud of it. I've helped others for years. Many of my clients have bad families or relationships, so I have great clients. This day feels like my biggest miracle as a paranormal investigator, like I sprang from despondency into a rainbow of possibilities and light. I feel that no matter what you go through, a horrible job, a bad relationship, a bad neighbor, not having enough money, I have learned how to use my thoughts and keep an open mind. I think that's unimportant since we judge extremes and liberals right and left. What matters is your current location and loving expression. Has this person been helped? Are you kind? From the opposite side, I learned we must decide where we are now. Do I need to act? If this fails, what do I do? How do I remove this option? Find a replacement job if the option fails. I recommend loving your job till your passion emerges. It always appears, sometimes unexpectedly. Continue to persevere. The speaker is blind. The interviewee has 3 months to live. Now you know I couldn't walk. I understand sociological profiling. Yet decent people can be influenced despite our beliefs. Try being compassionate while watching the ripples of that one stone on the glass spread across the land. Thanks for listening to my tale. Looking at the skylight confuses me. Hoping this helps. We all stumble when we look away.